Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 1, Episode 1, the pilot, Strange New Worlds. Weird title, but hey, whatever. And you have no idea how happy and excited I am that Star Trek has finally started looking and sounding like Star Trek again. Like, you have no idea. See? Complaining does work, because ever since Discovery came out, people have been complaining left and right, like on the internet, about how much it sucks, how far away from Star Trek it is. Then Picard series came out, then Lower Decks, and it's just like, people have had enough. And so they kept complaining, and then when they came out with this kind of like, not really so much an interview, but kind of like a teaser type trailer years ago, talking about like, it was the three main stars of Strange New World, talking about, we've heard you, we listened to you, and we're gonna make things better, and da 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 da. So it was kind of like, okay, yeah, let's see if you're really gonna do this or not. And they actually did it. And I can't believe this, how happy I am. It looks like Star Trek. It feels like Star Trek. It sounds like Star Trek. It's a mixture of old Trek versus new Trek. So they blended that in. The new Trek stuff was a little annoying, but not overbearing. And, it was just good. They finally listened to the fans and they finally cared instead of just trying to make money off us and crap. And, if I had to give this like a number ranking, I would probably give it like a 8 or maybe like a 9 out of 10, probably 7, 8, 9, 10, something around that area. So probably like an 8 or 9, because it was actually really good. The only things I had a problem with was that, what is it? The humor. I don't like how they go that Orville humor route. Like, I don't mind they have like bleak like humor, you know what I'm saying? Because it works well. Like the whole Spock and the whole pants thing. See, that works. Just like I said before. If you're gonna throw humor in Star Trek, it has to be with that straightforward, smart, unemotional type character, like a Data, a Spock, a 7 to 9, an Odo, something like that, and it works perfectly. But that whole thing with the alien on the ship running around and Chapel running around like a crazy person, and Ahura like in the elevator, that was just too much Orville stuff for me. And they need to stop trying to be like the Orville and everything. It's very annoying when they try to be like the Orville. Just let the Orville be the Orville. And so I would take points also off of just how shiny and bright that ship is. Like, I'm glad you can finally see stuff in Star Trek again, but my God, does everything have to be so glistening and glossy and everything? Like, I'm getting old, okay? My eyes hurt. And it's shininess everywhere and stuff. And there was like little lens flares, thank God, but there was like one that just went across the screen and kind of like hurt my eyes a little bit. I'm like, and stuff. I will also take points off of there not really being no type of sciencey technological stuff or like space battle really, so that kind of bummed me out. Like, I wanted like a little bit in that thrown in there, not the little tiny bit we had thrown in there, but nevertheless, like I said before, it's fine. And so like, but everything else was just great. The characters were great, the dialogue was great, the suits were great, the intro was beautifully stunning and everything. And yeah, it's just like, it was cool. Like, it was kind of like an old school, typical Trek recycle episode where, they made first contact, they kind of blunder it. Now people are like, aware of everything, but nevertheless, it was like a really good episode and stuff. So let's break it down. Was this episode perfect? Nah. I mean, it has a few flaws and stuff like that. But I hope they keep up this pace. I hope they don't revert back to like, the Discovery stuff and all this other stuff. But it's kind of like, man, what took them so long to finally give us Star Trek? It's been since like 2009. But like, you know what's really weird and bugging the crap out of me is like two of the people, Alex Kurtzman, and I think his name is Akiva Goodman or Goldman or something like that. They've worked on like the Picard series, Discovery, Lower Decks, and other stuff. How is it they can make those shows so non-Star Trek, but then make this one Star Trek? So they are possible of making good Trek. So what the world took them so long? Like I don't get that. Like this, I wish like 'cause whenever all this new Trek stuff is over with, in about 10, 20 years after so, we're gonna get the truth. How much CBS forced them to do whatever they want to do and how much they wanted to do, you know? So it's kind of like they have now proven. Oh, my bad. It's late. I'm so tired. I'm exhausted. I want to go to sleep so bad. But yeah, like I'm just late doing this review. But like they proven they can actually do good Star Trek. And you know, if they keep this up and if they apply this to the other show, which they probably won't, but I hope they do, I wouldn't mind taking them off the board of idiocracy and stuff, you know. Now there's a woman, I forget her name. And she also created this too. She did the first short trek, Runaway. I didn't like that, but she's working on here. Now I'm familiar with her son, which wow, I didn't know he was half black. And I've seen him in some stuff. He's in Ant-Man. He's in oh god, he's in some show I watched. I can't remember the name of it right now. But yeah, it's like she's working on this as well, and like she did a great job. So like, you know, it's like a monologue starting off the thing and it's number one. She's giving her monologue. Now this monologue kind of bugged me a little bit, only because it was very similar to what like Burnham does, you know. Instead of giving just a straightforward like officer log, they give like kind of this empowering, almost epic, grandiose speech that's very like soft spoken, like they give them like a monologue to like a play or a documentary or something like that. I hate when they do that crap. Like you know, a ship log is just a ship log. You know, just give a straightforward standard log of what's going on. You don't have to sound all grandiose and everything. So basically, she's just talking about making first contact with like an alien, and you know things don't go as well. But then we get like a scene with Pike, and Pike is now bearded and everything, and shaggy hair, and he's not like officially retired from Starfleet, but he's taking some time off, a little bit sabbatical, if you will, because of what he saw in Discovery when he saw his future, and it haunts him throughout the entire episode. That's really nice. I like that. It gives some depth into his character. It shows he's not perfect. It shows he is human with fear in his heart, and he's scared of like the unknown and everything, to where it causes him to almost cower away. You know, and he's there with his woman. I don't know if it's his girlfriend, fiance, or wife or anything like that, because I don't know much about Pike from like the unaired pilot and stuff. I mean, I watched the unaired pilot, and I watched it when it was in the menagerie. So it's kind of like, you know, I just remember him being like an angry, straightforward man, and of course they changed his character because Anson Mount, he stated so many times online like this is a dream job for him. You know, like he's always wanted to like do this and stuff ever since he was like a little boy, and he finally gets to be in Star Trek and stuff now. And you can tell he's having a blast. This is like a dream project of his. But I have noticed sometimes when he talks, he's a little bit too much like Kirk. And just let Kirk be Kirk. Because we're going to get to see Kirk in season 2. Because, you know, I've already said before, they bringing Kirk in season 2 as a lieutenant for some strange, bizarre reason that like screws up the timeline. But you know how this is. This show's not always perfect, you know, these series, and they always screw up the timeline and stuff like that, and you know, and just, I guess it is what it is now, you know. And so she's gonna head off back into space, and then he's riding his horse, and then an admiral comes down to talk to him. I like the shuttlecraft. The shuttlecraft is, I don't like the little pointy thing at the end, but it's a nice looking shuttlecraft, and it looks more like a shuttlecraft than what we've been seeing lately, and it's very similar to that of a TOS kind, but an updated version. See, that's why I'm liking. I see. Here's the thing. Starting back with the 2009 JJ movie and Discovery, my problem wasn't them updating technology. It was just updating technology for a time era that wasn't supposed to have it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Um, like the holograms and spore drive and stuff like that. And it's just like certain things weren't supposed to be there. But I don't mind things like a computer screen getting updated. I don't mind that. I don't mind the little buttons they press on the terminals and stuff. Because to tell you the truth, because like when Discovery did come out, I was just kind of like, oh God, is everything gonna look like the 60s again? And so I was kind of happy when they updated like buttons and, you know, things like that. And but then, you know, I'll get into this a little bit more and I go into the ship. So anyway, he doesn't want to come out of this like semi-retirement, but the admiral's trying his best to do it. And he only takes the job when he finds out number one has screwed up and she's in danger. So that's like a good friend of his first officer. So being a Starfleet captain and a friend and colleague, you know, he's gonna help her out and everything. So she brings him out his slump, and he's fresh shaven and has a new hairstyle. I don't like his new hairstyle. He looks like Jimmy Neutron, that little pudding, fudge pudding looking hair. So anyway, he goes on like the Enterprise, and he needs his science officer. So we see Spock and he's having dinner with his lady friend. And so like he's really intimate with her. I like the dialogue they had. It was weird, it was strange, it was bizarre, it was Vulcan. You know what I'm saying? It was very logical, very smart sounding. Um I like the actress who plays her. She did a really good job. However, I did see traces of emotion in the way she was acting. So gotta keep that stiffness, you know what I'm saying? You're a Vulcan and stuff. That's why I hate sometimes when I see Vulcans on screen. Because some people can nail it. And the other people, they have a little bit of emotion to them. So it's kind of like, ugh, you know what I'm saying? But I was very shocked to see they was kissing, making out. Because normally I know Vulcans, they kiss. But I thought Vulcans mostly do like the little finger hand thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? But it was kind of cool to see the way they like, don't you do that. You have to get out. So at least he was Vulcan enough to do that. Now I can excuse Spock for this because, you know, like, he's half Vulcan, and remember in the unaired pilot, he smiled, but that's because the actor was trying to, you know, get a feel for the character and stuff. So they're about to clickety clack, but then like Pike calls in and said he needs his help, and of course she is annoyed by this, but she's Vulcan. So he joins Pike on the Enterprise, and they're happy to see each other. They're like really good friends. And then so like, you know, we get introduced to like a few of the characters, and it's nice to see the bridge crew actually talk and do stuff. Now about the bridge crew and the uniforms and the ship. Oh, first let me get into the intro. The intro is stunning. The intro is gorgeous. The only problems I have with the intro is that, okay, it was nice to hear somebody talk during the intro. Like I missed that from the TOS and TNG days. I love that, but it's weird. So Pike went on a 5-year mission and Kirk went on a 5-year mission to boldly go when no one has gone before. I'm just like, couldn't they give him like a different number count or something like that? Because I know he was supposed to be the original captain for the show, but the dude declined to show back up for the series, so they went with William Shatner. They just followed the stories they were going to follow with the original pilot, but still, you know. Then the second thing I'm having a problem with this intro, even though it's gorgeous and the shots are beautiful, there's one ripped directly from that of Voyager. And that's kind of annoying. And like that's Voyager's special look where they go like, they're soaring above and it's kind of like a meteor rock type thing below them, you know, and it's kind of like, that's very much a Voyager thing. I would appreciate if they would have did something different. But everything else in the intro was just like awesome, you know what I'm saying? Like finally we got like a good intro again. We haven't had a good intro since like Voyager. Because Enterprise was interesting, but it just didn't feel like Star Trek. And none of the other Star Trek intros in CBS feels like an intro. Now, as for the suits, I am very happy that they look very casual, because that's the thing about Gene Roddenberry. He always wanted like casual wear for their suits to show that everything's leisure, you know, in the future and stuff. So that's great. I do love the more militant like jumper suit style. That's like my favorite. But it's nice to see they're respecting Gene and the whole casual thing. And it's an updated version of the unaired pilot, so that's nice. However, I do prefer the suits from the JJ movies. I will say this, I am a little disappointed we don't get the TOS Discovery suits, because I was getting accustomed to that. You know, it was kind of like, okay, yeah, they're just the Discovery suits, but painted different colors. But I was getting used to that look, you know what I'm saying? It was like an updated look or version. And then they went with this that's completely different. So I was like, oh, okay, like, but sometimes, even though it's nice and it's casual, this looks like a shirt sometimes, you know? I do prefer everybody to wear the same type of like pattern in the uniform. I don't like seeing different patterns. So it kind of bugs me when I see like the transporter dude wears a different pattern. Number one and Ahura wear a different pattern, and Chapel, who's like a nurse, but she's a civilian nurse, not a Starfleet nurse. But it's still just a little like bugging, you know? I will say that like now after seeing like a full-on view of Ahura and like number one, okay, like oh okay, I get why that black pattern is going down their hip side and everything. Cause you know in TOS Ahura wore like a skirt or a scat, whatever you call it. But number one never did. She always wore pants. So I guess it's more like a female uniform, but then you don't see it on any of the other females. So I guess it's just like a variant uniform, and they had those in TOS. Personally, for me, I've never liked variant uniforms unless it's the doctor or the captain. Like I remember in TOS and TNG, I hated when the engineering people had those other jumpsuits that was like just a basic one color note. I've always just like you know, everybody wearing the same uniform. When like just like in Voyage, everybody did it in Enterprise too. When they did that in DS9, the flip flopping of uniform, that drove me nuts, especially in Generations and stuff. I will say for the Doctor and Chapel, I'm kind of getting really tired of seeing the medical people wear white uniforms. Sometimes it's cool, but it just takes away from it. 'Cause I prefer them to wear blue. And so, like, I know it does get kind of confusing because sometimes you don't know if somebody's medical or science, but it's a great way to do that. See, Spock is wearing a dark blue uniform, and Dr. Mbanga, he's wearing a light muted, almost grayish blue color. So you can tell that difference. Okay, one's medical and then one is not. But then when you look at Chapel, who's a civilian nurse, her outfit looks more like a doctor than a doctor. The doctor looks like he's wearing a shirt and stuff. Now, as for the display screens on the ship, now I've already said the ship is just way too shiny. It's too shiny, it's too bright, and it does hurt my eyes and stuff like that. But they have kind of tweaked it from its Discovery appearance. Like instead of orange on the con and stuff like that, it's like, you know, kind of like a muted red, burgundy almost. The screen displays in the back are different colors now because they were blue in Discovery. And also they've added actual touch tile, like, you know, 3D buttons that they didn't have before, just to make it, you know, similar to that of TOS. Personally, I've never liked the little button, the circle button thing. I always thought that was kind of weird. I always liked the TNG, like a touchscreen button. They also did that in the TOS movies where it was touchscreen buttons. I just never liked the 3D buttons, and they added those for this series. It's just kind of weird, you know? Like, you don't have to go back that far in design things, you know? I still don't understand why the con officer and navigation officer are wearing red uniform. It's supposed to be gold. I don't understand that. Even in Discovery, they got it right with number one and the other navigation person wearing gold. Speaking of that, what station does number one have? I never understood that in at the end of this episode because I thought she was always a con officer and stuff like that. But you know, the Ortega lady, she is, and so I don't know what she does on the ship because she doesn't have a chair next to the captain and stuff. And so, you know, we're getting to meet some new people, and we don't know much about the helm officer, Ortegas. She seems cheerful and smiley and everything, so that's cool because nobody really smiled that much in like Discovery. But it's funny how like in the episode she's always like, this always happens when I take the big chair, and she does take the big chair every now and then in the episode. I don't know who the navigation lady is. Then we have Leanne Noonan Singh, who of course is, we're gonna assume is related to Khan and everything. She's the new security officer and his new number one. She has a bit of an attitude, like she's very direct, she's very blunt, and I like that because she's a security officer. I know a lot of people are complaining about, oh, it's so woke. She has so much attitude and blah 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 blah, and there's too many women on this show, and like, what is wrong with you people? Seriously, man. But she is a nice addition to the show because she's kind of like, you know, she has that McCoy Spock like frenemy thing going on. So, you know, so he can never get along with nobody. Now, funny note about her, fun fact, the actress who plays her is in a deleted scene in one of the newer Star Wars movies. Also, the con officer, she was a villain, part of the Sith in one of the newer Star Wars movies. So that's kind of interesting. Trying to think what else about her. Can't really think of anything. Oh, I know she's British. I have a hard time understanding what she says. Because she kind of talks like in a low voice, and she has a very thick British accent, and she talks very fast sometimes, and so I do wonder how she's related to Khan. I thought Khan was like Mexican or something, and I think she's like Asian and British or something like that. So that's gonna be kind of interesting. And also, how does she fit in with the whole Khan thing? I don't know. Sometimes they need to stop bringing in people from the past because it's gonna screw up the continuity wise, you know. Speaking of which, let's get into Ahura, whose name I always have a hard time saying. Now, I will say one good thing about having her in this is that we will finally get to know some things about her. Because what do we really know from her from TOS? She plays that musical instrument. She sings. She danced in the movie. She had a tribble. She lost her memory and they never tried to restore it. They just had to like reteach her crap. She was always scared of stuff and told the captain, I'm scared. Or she'll scream like she's horrified. Like it was the 60s, so that's, you know how they were about it when it came to women and stuff and people of color. So we'll finally get some interesting stuff from her. Now, I will say the only problem I have with her really is that she's a cadet. And I've never liked the idea of cadets being on starships. It's okay if they visit, and if they were going to have a position, then do the night shift, but she's already proven, she's going to be like the head of communications and stuff, and that really bugs me when they do that with these younger characters. Kind of like Wesley when he was an acting ensign. But one thing I never understood about that was that Picard made him the helms officer, but he's like super smart prodigy dude. So why wasn't he in science or engineering? And so, yeah, that never made no sense. Also, sorry, Harry, but I don't like ensigns being part of the senior staff. That's just kind of weird. And so, now I will say this about the actress. When it comes to them recasting people, they normally try to find somebody who looks very similar to that of the original series. Now, with this series, they try to find people who was kind of like a mashup of either the original series or the movie or both. And I have to say, this actress doesn't look like any of the other two Ahuras that I've seen before. Every time I see her, I think she's a brand new original character. And so it's nothing against her. It's just when I look at her at first glance, I forget who that is and stuff, you know? And so when they warp to like the planet, I think Pike's catchphrase is "kick it," which I thought he would at least say "punch it," like he like the other Pike in the movie and stuff. I don't know how I feel about "kick it." Like that's just kind of I don't know. That's kind of weird. But when they get there, they scan it and they see it's pretty primitive and stuff. But they are detecting a warp signature, and then they get fired upon. And it's nice to see torpedoes look like torpedoes again. And when they get fired on kind of some kind of like warp plasma type like torpedoes, and they don't understand like how they have technology of this century when they look pretty primitive. And so they find out they have some type of like warp nuclear like reactor type thing. So they have to go down and investigate. And so when they investigate, they have to of course change their appearance. Now they did something a little different in this show. Instead of surgically altering somebody's face and appearance and stuff like they do in the past, now they're using genetics to manipulate a person's DNA so it can morph into another alien species. I will say it's a whole lot quicker than going under the knife, but it does create like a continuity problem. However, there is a way around that because this technology is very new and they see what happens to Spock. Maybe they're all like, okay, maybe we need to like abandon this and just like start scalping people and altering their face and stuff like that. So it is a continuity issue, but I think they're gonna clear it up by saying, okay, it's a little too, the technology isn't like perfected yet, so we gotta have to go something simpler, So turns out when they do this, it's gonna cause like pain when they revert back. But Spock, because he's Vulcan and stuff, he might revert back quicker. So then they beam down, and it's a funny gag where Spock's all like, I've lost my pants, because he's wearing like shorts and stuff. Now, I don't understand how the clothes just beamed on them. I remember in TOS, they have like the technology to make clothes. And I remember one time McCoy was going down on a away mission and he couldn't get in his boots. And Spock told him a technique to use that could make him fit in his boots. So I don't know how they're able to beam the clothes onto somebody. That again is the type of technology that bugs me because we've never seen that before. So they're down like the alien planet and they're trying their best not to interact with nobody, but then they had to cause a distraction. Now it was a nice distraction and from the security officer, like as her and Spock are like going at it, you know what I'm saying? And she signals him to put the Vulcan like pinch thing on him. And so it works. But then they argue about what to do with them. So she wants to beam them on the ship. Everybody else is like, no, no, no. And so this is a problem because he's not supposed to have no contact with them. They could have just ditched them in like an alley or something like that, But of course they beam them on the ship. And so they're looking for like, number one and stuff. Now, on the ship, of course, those two security guards wake up and they're freaking out. So the doctor has to like sedate them. Now, I like how they updated the hypo spray. That's nice. And then, but one of the dudes gets away. And this is what I was telling you about before. He's running and then he meets Ahura and they're talking in the elevator, just goofing around like the Orville. And then they have Chapel running around like a crazy person trying to find him and stuff. And so that felt that was unnecessary. I get they wanted like a comedic moment, but you don't need a type of humor in Star Trek. So while like on the planet, it was nice to see they bust out the tricorder. Which to tell you the truth, I don't think I've ever seen a tricorder in Discovery. I've seen plenty of phasers, but never a tricorder, unless it's the 29th century one, or the 39th century one, or 32nd century, whatever century they're in, 32nd century, where they tap the comm badge, but that's not, I would consider like, a tricorder. Now, I will say, they've tweaked the appearance from that the original series. Personally, I think they should have tweaked it more. I don't mind having a tricorder updated. When Enterprise updated theirs, that was fine. I don't remember what it looked like in the JJ movies. But the tricorder does need an update badly before they go to like TNG and stuff. So eventually they find number one and stuff. And they rescue them and they find out what happened. And so, when they're back on the elevator, Spock ears are starting to revert back. And then he's in excruciating pain and he fully reverts back. I have to say, for a Vulcan, I was surprised he screamed. But then again, he is half human, and he did smile in the unaired pilot. But still, he's supposed to try to keep that in check and everything. And so, like, they try to, like, Herb and beam back to, like, the ship and stuff. And then some people who saw Spock, like, face revert. And then, so, number one informs him that, like, the planet, the reason why they got tech from the new tech and everything and how they so advanced is that the events that happened in the season 2 finale when Discovery went into like the future and stuff and the whole control thing. So because of that, they've now advanced further than what they were supposed to, and they're causing weapons of mass destruction to kill each other. Pike is not happy with this, and he orders them to go back to the ship while him and Spock try to like save the day. So something I forgot to mention. Something happened earlier when Spock tried to go through like a retinal scan, and part of his face was like reverting back, right? So what they do is that Chapel beams more of like the hypospray stuff into Spock. Either she beamed it in his body, or she did something, and we saw like something beam in front of his eye, like a little tiny thing. When in the world were they able to do something like that? Like, think about it. She said they're gonna need multiple doses, have to come back and everything like that, or they have to like beam a hypospray to them. They have to inject themselves. Now, if they could just eject the hypospray by like a transporter beam inside their body, then what they need hyposprays for? You know what I'm saying? So I don't like that at all, like at all, and everything. That's that continuity crap I was talking about. Anyway, back to the episode. So they go into like the chambers and they're talking to like one of the rulers and stuff, and she's not listening, and so she's gonna have them taken to like a prison. So Pike does he uses his communicator to talk to like Enterprise. Now either the communicator now is voice command or he had it turned on the entire time. So then he has the ship like come down within orbit so they can see it. And I'm just like, you idiot, why are you exposing yourself like this? Because what if they retaliate in a different way? What if they shoot you down a whole lot quicker now, And so that, I feel like it was a huge calculated risk that could have backfired hugely and everything. But it causes them to be like, oh my God, you are an alien and everything. So they go back to the ship. They debate on what they should do. And he doesn't want them killing each other with their weapons, their weapons and stuff. So he beams down when the two parties are there. And he shows them clips of like, events that help lead to like World War III on like, on Earth. It's funny, he showed the insurrection. So they're trying to say the insurrection led to World War III. maybe he said a civil war. I can't remember. And so yeah, I can see that. And so like he showed like other events, and he talked about how he saw his own death and everything, and how it haunts him, and like and he tells them basically he just tells them this: stop fighting each other, unite, and come join us and everything. And I'm just kind of like, just like that, you want them to join you? They still have not been able to like go out into outer space. They're not warp capable yet. And I'm just kind of like, you're just botching this mission. However, I will say in the earlier days, it is kind of nice to see them botch certain missions and stuff. They're not that perfect yet. But then we got enough of that in Enterprise. So why we got to see that here, So anyways, now because of that, people are influenced by like the Enterprise and the Federation. And now they're teaching them more stuff about like this and that. And so, so only time will tell what will happen. Now, as for the aliens' look, I like their look. It's basic, it's humanoid looking, it's Star Trek. It's not heavy prosthetic, glued onto a heavy prosthetic. I hate that crap. And then so like, while on the ship, he gives like seeing like a promotion and everything and wants her to be part of like his crew. Cause they bonded a little bit when she told him about like a tragic backstory that she had. Also, she knows number one somehow. I forget how, cause I couldn't understand what she was saying. But yeah, so this is gonna be like an interesting season. So he closes out with a proper captain's log. You know what I'm saying? He's not overly emotional. He's not crying. He's not trying to like win the best like Emmy or Oscar or nothing like that. And we see like all around the ship and the crew, and we see the albino Endorian beam on there, who's like this engineering chief and stuff. And yeah, it was just like a cool episode. Wasn't perfect, but it was extremely good and it's so much better than what we've been having for the last couple of years, man. Like, I swear to God. And so it's like, if these people could have done that years ago, why in the world didn't they? So that makes me like really frustrated and stuff. But I can't watch the rest of the season when it ends because I still don't have Paramount Plus yet. I was able to watch this because Paramount Plus has a YouTube channel and they always show their premiere episodes like on their YouTube channel. So I have to now wait and wait and wait until I get Paramount Plus. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.